To the best of your knowledge, why did your grandparents come to Harlow?
My grandparents came for work. My mum was born in a little village called Union Hall in West Cork, Skibbereen, and she was born there in 1950, and to the best of my knowledge they came to Harlow in 1953. My granddad having gone over to London looking for work, as a lot of Irish did at that time, sort of living in digs and stuff, and got offered a job building in Harlow, building the new town, and with that job was offered accommodation for his family. So it was just a brilliant opportunity for them. There wasn't any work in Ireland. And my other grandparent on my father's side, very similar story. They were living, I think, in Ilford. Same thing, he was offered a job, building, and a house that came with it. So, yeah.
Did they ever explain, was it simple as that they had to come here for work? Did you get a feeling that they were coming from an impoverished area?
Yeah, definitely. They just, to the best of my knowledge from what my mum's told me is, there just wasn't any work in Ireland to support a family. So my grandma and granddad already had 3 children, my mum and her older brother and sister in Ireland. Just simple as that, there wasn't any work. So at that time, in the 50s, a lot of people were coming over to England and over to America. One of my grandma's brother emigrated to America. My grandma came here, and one lot of the family managed to stay in Union Hall in Ireland.
So we're talking about Sonny Minahan and
yes,
Tessa Minahan.
This is Sonny Minahan and Tess Minahan. Yeah.
And did you get the impression that they were able to be quite quickly or over a period of time be part of an Irish community?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously there was a lot of people were in the same position, so there was a lot of Irish families coming to Harlow at the same time. And I guess probably through churches. I think the first Catholic church was at Tainesdale School, I think it was at the time. So obviously, coming from Ireland and being Catholic, they would have all got to know each other through the church scene, I guess, at the time. And yeah, because they would have had a lot in common, and very quickly sort of formed a new community away from home, I guess, as they had a lot in common, obviously.
So you're very much a sort of third generation in that way.
Yeah.
How, from your point of view, how Irish are you and how English are you?
I think I'm very Irish, really. People who know me, or a lot of my friends, because I come from an Irish family, and I guess because I've got an Irish name, which, has always sort of highlighted the fact, but I do feel... it's that funny thing of being second or third generation. I think growing up, I grew up in a very Irish surrounding, Irish music, and studied Irish dancing for many years, and church on a Sunday and making your Holy Communion, all of these things that are sort of tied in with the Irish culture. So
but this would be Our Lady of Fatima, would it?
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, originally we lived over in sort of Potter Street way. So Holy Cross, first of all, was our first church, and I went to Holy Cross, and then moved over to this side of town. So moved to St Albans and to Our Lady of Fatima.
But would there also be that culture, you mentioned church, the people afterwards congregating out afterwards and people speaking, and that's a key part of the Sunday, wasn't it?
Yes, Sundays were always, what great memories of Sundays. Sundays were always the day of church, and as you say, for a while, I'm sure the church, you could go into the church hall afterwards, and people would have loads of cups of tea, and then it would always be round it was a very family day, so we'd all be round at my grandma's. It's kind of the hub of where everyone would be.
Have you been back to
Union Hall?
Have you been back?
Yeah. I didn't go back. The first time I went was when I was about 16, I think. We hadn't been all through my childhood, mainly because there was a lot of us, and it was been expensive to go. But I first went when I was 16. Me and my 3 sisters and my mum went over, and I sort of fell in love with it. Absolutely beautiful. And since then, I've been back a lot since then, once a year or once every 2 years. I'm very much in touch with all the family over there.
And there's people back there?
Yeah, it's a bit like a parallel universe. It's because sort of my grandma's sister and her husband stayed in Ireland. My grandma and granddad came here, and then another one went to America. It's a bit like having 3 parallel universities. So yeah, got a whole nother family over there as well.
And did they describe it as home? Did they say you've come home?
Who the family in Ireland? Yeah. No, it's really funny actually, because sort of the cousins, well I guess they'd be second cousins, but they think we're very English, you know. They kind of make jokes about the Queen and being British and all this kind of thing. Whereas for us, going over there, it did feel, obviously my mum was born there, so to her it feels like home. But I think for my generation it was, they say, no, you're English. And over here sometimes people go, no, you're Irish. So it's that funny.
So 3 generations down, so the first generation were a very tight community, wouldn't they, etc. And perhaps, but has it 3 generations down? Has the Irish community now dissipated?
To a point, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's still at a point now where, because sort of my generation, because we all grew up together, there is still that sense of Irish community, but it's definitely a lot more diluted. Yeah, I think so. I think it's diluted, but it's still there for some of us. I think it depends how much you're interested in your family's roots and
as you've, with due respect, become older, have you become more interested in your roots?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a point sort of when I was a teenager and I think when I was younger I grew up in quite an Irish culture, but you didn't think of it as that because it was just the norm. It's what, you know, it was your life. And then when I became a teenager and I stopped Irish dancing and that kind of thing, and I think as I got older, I think the first time I really realised, you know, that how in touch I was with the Irish culture was when I left Harlow and went to university. And I was in Kingston in Surrey, southwest London, and there wasn't an Irish community there as such, and it made me realise that there was one in Harlow, and I really missed that when I was away. So I think and then I think as well as, just as you get older and you want to know about the stories about your parents or your grandparents, and my dad's dad came from Northern Ireland as well, to Harlow, so just wanting to know all the history, and I'm really into all of the history of stuff anyway.
And your music, is your any particular Irish artist or that you play or you're inspired by, or? I
mean, I love all Irish music really. The Dublin, grew up listening to loads of different music, but there was always the Dubliners and Christy Moore and the Pogues and all of that kind of stuff. And it's quite nice realising, I think, when I started to perform a lot, I didn't do a lot of Irish music. I play the piano and sing, so I do some gigs where I'm sort of just going out and playing lots of songs, but I don't play the Irish ones so much. I should really, but when I was having to learn songs, I realised, you know, I think growing up listening to so much Irish music, it's kind of ingrained. You know, I know all of the words to all of the songs. I've got no idea how I learnt them all, but it's all there, you know. But yeah, so Irish music.
And what about your parents? How tuned in were they to the Irish culture?
Very, very. Oh, we always joke that my dad was actually born in England. His dad was Irish and his mum was English, and my mum was born in Ireland. But we always joke that my dad's the more Irish one. So yeah, they're really in tune with it as well, and very much so. So I guess that's rubbed off on us.